Let's make this pillow cover together. You'll want to save this one to your favorites because it will work for just about any size pillow you want as long as you follow the process and do a little bit of math up front. Today is day 17 of working on my quilting projects every single day, and I have a ton of these extra flying geese from my full-size quilt that I need to do something with, so I decided to make 2 pillow shams. You should be able to use any quilt blocks or scraps you have laying around to make these. You just have to keep putting them together till you have a big enough size to quilt it. Here I'm just kind of laying out and figuring out what I want to do with my fabric and blocks, and then I started doing some math to figure out I had everything I needed. We'll want to figure out our fabric requirements right away, so you should get out a pen and some paper or take a screenshot of mine at the end if you're doing this for a standard pillowcase. So a standard size is 20 inches by 26 inches, and here's a little diagram to show 26 and 20 so that you make sure if you're using directional fabric, you have them going the right way. For my quilted top, I added 1 inch to both the 20 and 26 inches to get 21 by 27. So when you're putting your patchwork together, you're going to want to make sure you have at least an inch to spare on both sides. After you're done quilting, you're going to take this down by a 1/2 inch so that you actually only have a 1/2 inch more than the finished size. So just be aware of that, that if you're making it much larger than what you really need, you are going to lose a lot of fabric. So that 21 by 27 piece, we're going to need our top, which is the patchwork I'm making, then the batting, and then the bottom fabric. Your bottom fabric is going to be hidden within the pillow, so I just use whatever fabric I have laying around that I don't really like or I'm not going to use. After you're done quilting those 3 pieces together, you are going to trim it down to just be a 1/2 inch above your finished size, which would be 20.5 inches by 26.5. That there is going to make up the top piece of your pillow, and then we're also going to need to do the back, which will be 2 pieces. I'm doing an envelope back, so there's no zipper or anything. So I actually take 20 inches or whatever your side dimension is there. You're going to add 1/2 inch to that, and then you need to figure out what 1/3 of your other dimension is. So 1/3 of 26 is 9, so I'm going to subtract 9 from 26, which gives me 17. So we're going to cut 2 pieces for the back envelope that are 20.5 by 17 inches. In total, you're going to need 5 pieces of fabric, your patchwork for the top, the batting, and then the fabric that goes underneath. Those are all 21 by 27. And then your 2 pieces for the back, which are 20.5 by 17. Let's get to work. So here I have all of my top patchwork put together, and I'm going to trim it down to that 21 by 27 inches, or whatever size you're doing, plus an inch, or maybe even an 1.5 inches on each side. Now we're going to baste and quilt our top of the pillow. So this is the fabric I decided to use for the inside. It's something I've had laying around for a long time and haven't used any of it, so I'm totally fine with it being used on the inside. You could even use just something really cheap from Joann's, like a solid fabric, really whatever it is you want. You're never going to see it unless you're putting the pillow in the case. Here I use a combination of spray and pin basting. That's how I do most of my quilting stuff. I like it to be extra secure when I'm shoving it through my machine because I do work on a cheap machine that gets stuck pretty often. So you're going to put your bottom or inside fabric face down, your batting in the middle, and then your patchwork face up at the top, and go ahead and quilt it however you desire. I did just straight vertical lines 2.5 inches apart. You could add more quilting or less quilting. Totally personal preference. This would actually be a really good project for practicing new quilting patterns, or even like hand quilting if you want to give that a try. I really want to try hand quilting, so maybe I'll make another one of these when I'm finally ready and get the courage to try it. And here I'm just trimming some excess threads that are sticking through before I take it to quilt it. This is what it looked like after I quilted it, and then I trimmed it down to 20.5 by 26.5 so that I just have 1/2 inch extra. Now that the top piece is all ready, we're going to get the 2 back pieces ready. So you're going to find the side edge of your back piece, which in my case was the 20.5 side, and you're going to fold that in by 1/4 inch twice and then top stitch that. This is just going to hide that raw edge since we're making that envelope back. We don't want the raw edge of the fabric sticking out. And you'll do this with both of your pieces. This is what it looks like after I pressed it in 1/4 inch twice and then top stitched. You see now we have that nice neat edge instead of the raw edge, and it's time to put this together. There are 2 ways you could do this. You could either add a nice touch with some binding and put it together that way, or the way I did it, I would say is probably the easier way. I put right sides together and turned it inside out. So if you wanted to do the way with the binding, you'll actually want to put it together like I'm showing here, where the right sides of the fabrics are facing out, and then you would sew 1/4 inch all the way around all 4 edges, and then add your binding just like you would a quilt. Or the way I did it was I put right sides together. So I put first my pillow top facing up, and then my 2 backing pieces on top of that with the right sides facing down. And then you'll either pin or clip all the way around the edge and sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance. As you're putting this together, you will have these 2 pieces overlapping, and you'll want to sew through both of them when you're going around the edge, because you want to hide your pillow within the case. So that's why those are overlapping there. And once you sew around all 4 corners, you just turn it right side out, and there you have it, finished pillow sham. I actually really like how these turned out. I plan on making some big square ones for my couch pillows, so let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing how I do those. I plan on following the same math.